Welcome to Conversations with the Modern Girl, the podcast hosted by myself, Shamika Patterson, the guru of mental health and well-being. Join me as we embark on a journey of exploration and discovery, as we deepen our thoughts, as we discuss topics that affect our community. I coin myself the queen of randomly thinking, and as I'm randomly thinking and having these discussions in these podcast episodes, I invite you to join me with these thought-provoking discussions on a wide range of subjects, from lifestyle trends to the culture of the Black church, and also discussing some obstacles that we face in middle-class America, also to the intersection of mental health and well-being. Be prepared to be inspired, challenged, and empowered as we engage in meaningful conversations that aim to spark positive change and personal growth. Get ready to expand your horizons and enhance your understanding of these important issues in Conversations with the Modern Girl. Thank you so much for joining us for Conversation with the Modern Girl. Tonight, I have Janisha with me here in studio as we are going to talk all things wellness, spas, and entrepreneurship. I'm so glad to have you with us, Janisha. We just got finished troubleshooting some little technical difficulties here, but guess what? We are rocking and rolling. We're not going to let this stop us whatsoever. No, we're not. So thank you, Janisha. If you could just tell us about your company, how it got started, what led you to all this women and wellness stuff. Let's hear about it.
So I am Janisha Mays. I am the owner and founder of Eudaimonia Wellness and Beauty. We are a wellness spa located in Dallas, Texas, and where we specialize in disease prevention and health promotion. So how I actually got started in entrepreneurship is not quite exactly what you would say is the typical road. I actually had no desire to be in entrepreneurship whatsoever. My goal was to climb the corporate ladder in healthcare. I had a goal to be the chief nursing officer of a hospital, and that was going to be like my jam. But then COVID happened. And COVID is really what showed me and told me what the healthcare industry really thought about me as a nurse. When COVID first happened, I was seeing my colleagues being the first ones to have to jeopardize their health, and the nurses have to go in first, and the doctor's going to stay outside the room. And I was like, y'all really playing in our face. And
Wow.
it really made me understand that as a nurse, I have so much more power than just me working as a bedside nurse. So I knew that I didn't want to work bedside forever, but I said, if I'm going to leave the bedside, I had to have a plan. Mm-hmm. And at the time, I had no idea what I would do. Only thing I ever knew was bedside. So I still work in the ER. And at the time, I was doing travel nursing in the ER during COVID. So I was on a travel assignment when I was in Baltimore. And I came across this lady's page that she was doing a conference in Mexico. The conference was in 3 days. I never heard of her page, never knew who she was, nothing about it. And she was talking about IV hydration. And I was like, I knew about IV hydration because I had a colleague at the time that was newly in IV hydration. She had started doing mobile services. So I knew what it was, but I never knew what it was to explore it as a business. So I was like, okay, she had a virtual option available for us to attend the conference virtually. Again, it was in 3 days, and I think the virtual option was like $450. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I called my boyfriend. I was like, I don't know if this is worth it. Like, I don't know this woman. I don't know if I've never heard about it. Like, do you think that this is something that I should invest in? And my boyfriend's background is in financial consulting. So I was like, I don't know. He was like, I mean, if it's something you want to explore, I was like, I don't really know what it is I'm exploring. But I was curious to know, like, okay, let me find out more about it. I had already started going through her page, and I was just like, oh, she's like a nurse that helps other nurses get into business. So I did the virtual conference, and I was mind blown. I was like, I never knew that nurse entrepreneurship was a thing until I came across Be the MP's page. Never heard of it, never explored it, never was taught it, never crossed my mind that as a nurse, I can also be an entrepreneur. So once I went to the conference, I just went down a rabbit hole of like all the things. And so it was during that time that I was like, maybe I should explore entrepreneurship and maybe I should do this. So I joined her cohort, I joined her VIP program, and I was like, I need to know more about this. And at the time, I was going into the business with other partners at the time. So I just went down this rabbit hole and like finding a name because that was, to me, that was the first thing I needed to do. So after I did a search, I did my travel assignment. I did like maybe one other travel assignment. It was like in the back of my head, but I'm still working bedside. So as I'm still working bedside, I'm seeing firsthand, like y'all really do not respect me as a nurse. Like y'all really feel like I'm the help. And so as I'm working COVID and I'm like, I'm over here risking my life, my family's life, for the sake of trying to save these people. And the higher ups and administration, ain't nobody taking no interest in me. And like, what's good for me? None for the soul. So I was like, you know what? I finished that travel assignment. I actually left the travel assignment early because they were playing in my set. And I came back home and I was just like, I need to explore. Like, I can't do this forever. At the time, we didn't know what COVID was about to manifest into, how long it was going to be around, what we were going to be doing. People like were dropping dead, like left and right. And as an ER nurse,
It was
I
scary times.
was under a lot of stress and I wasn't sure like what my career was going to look like, how much stability I was going to have. Was I making great money at the time? Yes. But I'm like, this ain't going to sustain. I don't know if I want to keep jeopardizing my health. I don't want to keep being in this environment, being in those suits for 12 hours for 3 or 4 days at a time. Y'all was hot.
It was hot. It's
you can't
overwhelming.
eat, you can't drink. Like I would go a whole shift. I don't eat, I don't drink, I don't pee because I'm suited up for 12 straight hours. So I was like, I can't sustain this. I have to have an escape. And so that's when I came back home. At the time I had partners that were in my business with me. And I was like, I had to come up with a name. I knew I wanted something that represented happiness because I could see every day what my coworkers were going through and everybody was miserable. Everybody hated their job, everybody hated everything that they did. And so I wanted to have a name that represented something that was happiness, but I didn't want it to be happiness. So I went on a Google search and that's when I found the name Eudaimonia. I had never heard of it before. I never knew what it was. But I was coming across names, I was spitting names out, and nothing was like vibing. And then eudaimonia popped up, and I read the definition, and it loosely means like human flourishing. So I was like, wow. So I did some more research later on, but it's basically like the highest level that you can get to a person in their virtues. So higher than happiness, a state of like self-awareness and self-being that requires you to be at a different level and requires you to be like the best version of you. And as soon as I saw the name, I was like, that's it. So before I went into nursing entrepreneurship, before COVID happened, I was a makeup artist. So I was a makeup artist for a couple of years. I actually closed my books down during COVID because I couldn't travel and see patient and clients. So I closed my books. So I wanted to bring the world of wellness and beauty together. So Eudaimonia Wellness and Beauty was formed.
Wonderful. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. First, hats off to you for being out there on the grind during COVID on the front lines. And, during that time, they were recognizing nurses and staff and essential
It was all fake.
On television. I believe it. I believe it was, I believe it because, I was working at the Veterans Administration at the time, and they could care less about what we were doing. You know what I'm saying? That plexiglass, you're not getting that. They couldn't even get us hand sanitizer. So I understand feeling like, just there and nobody's that you really cares. Nobody cares. But in that, you were able to birth this idea, this thought. And like you said, you started to research, find things. You just so happened to come across this for a reason. And it just kind of led to something else. It sounds like you always had kind of a hustle there because you was doing makeup and nursing. It sounds like you always
For sure.
had that. And so, going into this venture, just kind of like put everything together, like you said. Now, when I think about IV therapy drip, I was very curious because I have heard about the people who have been doing these different things. So they're becoming very popular. What can you tell these treatments for women, and how can owners effectively educate their clients about these IV drips?
So when people think of IV hydration, they think of, oh, when I go to the ER, I lose that little saline bag that I get. Yes, same thing. But that's just the hydration part. The beauty of IV hydration and what really gravitated me towards it in the beginning and how I started my business was I understand what what hydration does for the body, and I understand how it can replenish somebody. But now on the wellness side, we can mix a cocktail of different vitamins, minerals, amino acids to give you this amazing boost that your body needs. So the beauty about IV hydration is you're going to get these vitamins and these nutrients directly into your bloodstream. So it bypasses the stomach, it goes directly into your veins. And so you're getting the availability of these minerals 100%. So it doesn't have to be broken down. It is 100% absorbed and ready for your body to use. So a lot of people take supplements, like many supplements. I now take a lot of supplements now. But when you think about the supplements you have to take, people don't understand is the reason why you have to take supplements every single day is because if someone has a healthy gut, now I'm not talking about people who have like leaky gut or who have other gut issues, but for somebody who has a healthy gut, you're only going to absorb about 25 to 35% of those vitamins that you're taking. And that's if you have vitamins that are actually worth anything, because there's a lot of trash vitamins on the market. Okay. So if you're getting vitamins that really have a good balanced amount of nutrients in them, you're only going to absorb 25 to 35%.
And that's a healthy gut.
That's a healthy gut.
Wow.
So by the time you're absorbing it, you thinking, I'm spending all this money on vitamins. I got to take all these vitamins all the time. I'm only absorbing a little bit amount. Versus if you get an IV drip, you have 100% absorption of those vitamins. So everything that I'm giving you, you're going to absorb, use 100% of that. Nothing is broken down because nothing has to be broken down in the stomach. There has to be no detox. I mean, of course, you excrete everything out in the liver and in the kidneys, and all has to go through the detoxification process. But the stomach is where a lot of that stuff get broken down. You ain't having to deal with that with IV hydration. So you're going to absorb all of it. So the thing that a lot of people, the reason why it's so popular is because you really feel amazing after you get these drips. Not only am I giving you the fluids of the hydration part, because a lot of people walk around here severely dehydrated, but I'm also giving you nutrients. So I'm giving you vitamins, I'm giving you minerals, I'm giving you amino acids, and we can concoct a lot of different things. So my most popular drips are my energy drips, my hair drips, and then my immunity drips. Those are my most popular drips that I do in my spa. I probably do those drips on a weekly basis now. But every vitamin has a benefit. So my favorite vitamin is B. Most people are familiar with B12 across any line. People know that B12 gives them energy. But all B12 are not made the same. I actually learned a different version of B12 today that I had never heard of. Okay. So I knew of the 4 types of B12, but apparently there's a 5th one somewhere out there. So I've learned about that today. But people think that B12 is just great for energy. So a lot of my clients come to me and I tell them, when it comes to what deficiencies you have, a lot of people are B vitamin deficient. And they don't realize it because they're like, well, I've tried B12 in the past and it didn't work for me and I don't feel anything. And I'm like, okay, well, bring me the B12 that you've used. 90% of the time, the people who bring me their B12 in is the wrong B12. The one that you get at the store is a cyanocobalamin. So that means it is a synthetic form of B12. What does that mean? That means that version of B12 has to be broken down in the body to its active form. The active form is methylcobalamin. That is the only vitamin that is 100% available for your body to be able to use. That is not the B12 that is on the pharmacy and that you can find in the store. A lot of people don't realize that they're taking the wrong vitamin. So when they say that, oh, I've tried B12, it doesn't work, I'm like, okay, come into the spa, let me give you an injection of B12, and you tell me the difference. 100% of the time, people have told me, like, wow, that is completely different. B12, yes, it gives you energy, but B12 helps with like brain fog. It helps with, it's a mood stabilizer. So people don't understand, like, you'll feel so much better if you have the right B12. So it's a lot of education that goes into the IV hydration because people don't understand the difference of how vitamins are metabolized in the body. And it was something I had to learn. In the beginning, when I first started my business, I knew about vitamins, but we don't really go into depth in that in nursing school. We know the vitamins, what's water soluble, what's fat soluble, like we know all that part, but really exploring it on a wellness side in an outpatient setting is completely different. So the IV hydration, they're really great because for people who've never experienced the IV drips, when they do get it, they're like, oh wow, I feel so much better. Like I didn't know that my body was missing something until I give it to them. People sleep better. They notice that their mood is better. They notice that their energy is better. They just overall, I'm like, they feel better. So now my clients, they'll come in every week. They come in every couple weeks. They come in monthly because they're like, I know when my vitamins are getting depleted because I start to feel it. Once you get to that optimal level and you are feeling amazing, you never want to not have a level where I'm deficient ever again. So it's very important for you to understand where your levels are, but understand that there are things available that you can do for your wellness that will actually help you in the long run.
Like that. That's what I was saying. Educate the people about it because I don't think we really understand the breakdown of vitamins. Just like you were saying, our gut only absorbs a small amount of it, and that's a healthy gut. And there are a lot of us that don't have a healthy gut now. Then, B12 has been a popular go-to when we talk about supplements, especially like in a lot of weight loss clinics and whatnot. They will give you B12 injections so that you can have some type of burst of energy. That's what people are a lot of familiar with, and they say, "Oh, I didn't, experience anything. It didn't do anything for me." But this IV drip that you give has that, and it also can be combined with other components to give you energy and things. You mentioned something about being at this high, so your body, you have this thing, you know what it feels like when it's in your body and you're feeling good. Does it last like a month or does it last like a few weeks? How long does it usually last when you have these injections, these infusions rather?
So I told people that everybody's bodies metabolize vitamins to a different level. So some people, their drips will last them a couple of weeks. And then they'll be like, okay, I'm depleted. It also depends on your water intake on your own. It also depends on your metabolism in your body, how your liver and how your kidneys excrete these vitamins. So it kind of depends each person. Majority of my clients, they say the vitamins really, you need to replenish them every like 30 days. But if you're getting IV drips, is really every like 10 to 15 days is when the vitamins are going to start to excrete. So everybody is different. So that's why I recommend you may be a weekly dripper. You could be a bi-weekly dripper. You could be a monthly dripper. It just depends. But in the interim, wherever you are, there are still vitamins that you can take orally that can still keep you at that level. So at our spa, we do have oral supplements that we can take to keep your levels high. But I am a vitamin snob. I hate gummies. Okay. And I tell everybody across market, I hate gummy vitamins. One, they're full of sugar. Okay, they are my least favorite vitamin on the market. I don't care who it is. It don't matter. If it's a vitamin, it's not for you. But that's my opinion. That's how I feel about it. But if you look at your ingredients, then you come back and tell me how you feel about it. But a lot of those vitamins that are gummies, their number one ingredient is sugar. So you taking all of these vitamins and you think it's amazing, you're really not getting a whole lot of the actual vitamin in there. It's like a microgram that's in there. And when you convert that, it's like, so what am I doing? People just take it because it tastes good. It's like Flintstone vitamin. I think the Flintstone vitamins back in the day, I think it must have did something great for me because I took Flintstone vitamins every single day.
I did too.
I don't know if they were really worth anything because at the time we weren't really looking at the ingredients. I just knew I was supposed to take a Flintstone vitamin. But when you look at vitamins and what they're actually made up of, then you can kind of see the difference. So that's why I love a sublingual spray. I love a lozenge. I love a tablet. It has to be the right ingredients that are in these things to help you to really feel the effect on it so they can kind of keep you at a baseline level much longer. My goal is to not necessarily make you be like, oh, you got to get IV drips all the time. They're a great resource and a great addition to your wellness. But the ultimate goal is for you to understand where your deficiencies are so that we can know how to properly replace them with the right things that you need.
Got it. You mentioned that you had B12. You said something about a hair vitamin, and it was a third one. What does the hair one do? What are people coming and getting like these drips to like increase hair growth or fullness?
Yes. So, how my hair drip actually came about was I have an amazing hairstylist here in Dallas, Erica Smart, and I actually partnered with her to create this hair drip. I am no hairstylist, okay? I don't know hair. I have a lot of hair, but I go to somebody to manage my hair and keep my hair growing. I know vitamins, I know wellness. That's my lane. And so we sat down one day, we were talking about it, and I was like, she was telling me that she's seeing women who come in for, hair loss, whether it's from alopecia, whether it's from improper treatment from a different stylist. And I was asking her, I was like, well, you do know that there are vitamins that are available that can help strengthen the hair follicle. And she was like, oh, really? And I was like, yes, it is my jam. So I was asking her, like, what does she typically see? And then we were able to create a drip that really goes hand in hand with the things that she sees in her salon chair. So a lot of people think that biotin is amazing to help with like hair, skin, and nails. That's always been a vitamin on the market that people say is so amazing. But there are so many people now that have developed allergies to biotin. It's something in
Wow.
that biotin that's not really great for gut health, and people are exhibiting like skin reactions from it. There's not a lot of research in the biotin that shows us giving biotin IV that it really does amazing when it comes to the growth of hair, skin, and nails. So biotin is not my favorite vitamin because one, people develop allergies to them, and especially I've been seeing it a lot in African American women. They develop allergy, and I don't have a whole lot of research that says, yeah, this is absolutely great for that. So my drips do not have biotin whatsoever because it's not a great thing. My hair drips are rich in B vitamins, which you're going to need to stimulate those hair follicles to give you that growth so that you can make sure that we're stimulating the parts in the hair growth cycle so that those extra vitamins is what you're needing. People realize they see like I'm getting thinning hair and I'm shedding and my hair is brittle and it's really dry. A lot of that is not just because you're not getting the proper care for it. A lot of it is because you're not taking the right vitamins to help your hair to actually grow. So once you are able to replenish those vitamins, now you can start to see the difference in the hair growth. So I'm not saying that my drips are going to make you Rapunzel. But what I am saying is I'm putting the right vitamins that you need into your body. And if you continue these on, so what we do is I create the hair drip, I administer the drip, but then Erica also has these hair oils and making sure you have the right hair stylist to make sure that she can help you on that side. Again, I'm not the hairstylist. I'm just going to take care of you on the wellness side so I can make sure that I'm giving you the right vitamins that you need to have this journey so that you can regrow your hair if that's what your desire is.
Come up with this drip to solve a problem that a lot of women are facing, especially like premenopausal women. They're experiencing their hair loss and they're looking for ways to be able to replenish it. And, they may be taking vitamins and, their healthcare provider may be telling them to drink water, take more vitamins, more moisture to your hair. Yeah.
But
And then, but this is something extra that you can do and get this drip and, hopefully see some changes when you have that. Also, I just wanted to ask, a lot of minorities, we Black women and men, we have deficiency in vitamin D. Is that something that is of interest to you that you may carry soon one day at your
Yes, I
spa?
have vitamin D. I have vitamin D injections that we offer. So here's the thing about vitamin D. I'm trying to make it the most politically correct way to say it. So vitamin D, as most people know, that it is an important vitamin when it comes to muscle repair, muscle growth, muscle health. I mean, not muscle, bone growth, bone repair, bone health. It's very important. We've just been taught all our life to just drink milk and it'll be amazing for you and then help make your bones grow and all of these things. But what people fail to realize is we as Black people have melanin and melanated skin. So a lot of people say that, which the sun is a great place to get vitamin D, but here's the caveat. As melanated individuals, the melanin in our skin does not allow us to absorb vitamin D from the sun as our less melanated counterparts. So you can tell us to go in the sun all day long. We're not going to absorb it like that. We are now in 2025. So the foods that we are eating are not fortified with the right amount of vitamins and minerals because they're so heavily processed. So 95% of my clients are vitamin D deficient. Here's the problem. There's been a lot of research that has been coming out about the unimportance of the vitamin. I don't agree, and a lot of my colleagues do not agree because there's a lot more research that says that it is very important. So the issue that we're seeing right now on the clinical side and in a conventional medicine side is basically these researchers that are coming out and these endocrinologists that are coming out and talking about it are basically saying that we don't need to screen for vitamin D as often as we did. When they're saying that we don't have to screen for it as often, that's basically a push to the insurance companies that if you do get these screenings, then they're not going to pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what is this doing on the backside? Well, on the backside, now you're having all these people that are vitamin D deficient. So now you're understanding why you're having so many people that have more osteo issues or more bone issues, and people have brittle bones and things are breaking more easily. And you got all these broken hip fractures and all these.
That's right.
They're not understanding that if you properly treat somebody's vitamin D, and vitamin D plays a huge role when it comes to people's energy levels, them being very fatigued, menopausal. Like vitamin D plays a huge part in that. 95% of my clients are vitamin D deficient.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't realize that they're vitamin D deficient because nobody checks the labs. So it's very easy to replace it, but we live in a conventional medicine world. And of course, they want you to continue to be vitamin D deficient because what does that mean for them on the other side?
Of course.
Okay.
Of course. Yeah.
Okay. So I do offer high dose vitamin C or vitamin D at my spa because, and the crazy thing is the test only costs $20 to $40. The most expensive that I've seen this test cost is $40.
That's for the vitamin D test.
To test for if you're vitamin D deficient. $40 is the most I have seen the test cost. But a lot of people, we live in an insurance-based world.
That's
so people like, well, if my insurance doesn't cover it, then I'm not going to get it done.
I want it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I can guarantee, and I see some very low levels. Now that I'm in NP school and I'm in clinicals now, that is one of the labs that we check on all of the patients. And guess what? Everybody is vitamin D deficient.
Mm-hmm.
So we tell them to take a high dose vitamin D. You can either do, a high dose vitamin D is like 50,000 IUs once a week. And people that are vitamin D deficient normally get that 50,000 IUs once a week. They take it for 3 months. But here's the issue. Once you take it for 3 months, what happens? I know in my case, my doctor never went back and checked it. So when I went back to the doctor the next year, guess what? I'm vitamin D deficient again. Because after the 3 months, I stopped taking it. So then you just run into this cycle. So I am very, very cognizant to make sure that I keep on top of all my clients' labs. We're checking the vitamin D. That is a routine panel that we do at our spa. I have a clinical lab in my spa, so I check and I run all kind of lab tests. So vitamin D is one of those things that it is a routine test that we take. So if you're not getting it from the foods that we're supposed to be getting it from, how else are you going to get it?
Right. And that is a need. What ways can spa ownership contribute to a holistic approach to women's health? How do you integrate different wellness modalities into your practice?
So I learned, well, let me not say I learned. So how I actually got into I tell people that I'm not a holistic practitioner. Okay. I make that very clear. I'm not a holistic practitioner because I do believe that people do need medications for certain stuff. So I do not classify myself as holistic. So I've now moved into more of the functional medicine space. So in order for women to understand their needs, you got to see both sides. So, of course, my formal training is as a nurse and as in conventional medicine. Conventional medicine, the downside of it, if those who don't understand, conventional medicine is basically what you would see when you go into the hospital. You tell them, I got a headache, they give me you Tylenol. You tell them I'm nauseated, I'm going to give you some Zofran. Like, we treat the symptom that you present with. When I started seeing that was an issue was when I was starting to see the same repeat offenders, as we call them, in the hospital setting, coming day in and day out like a revolving door and using the ER as a primary care provider.
Right.
So I was like, well, this obviously can't be working if it doesn't matter what we educate, it's not matter what we treat. Now, granted, I'm not saying and putting this 100% on the person. I'm going to give it like a 50-50. Our healthcare industry is trash. Okay. There's no going around it. But we are trained, nurses, providers, we are trained to treat the symptom and the numbers. We rarely look at the patient in general. So the goal in medicine is to cure something. That is what doctors are here to do, is to cure you. But there's a curative side that nursing brings, but there's also a root cause on where a lot of this stuff comes from as well. So I actually learned about functional medicine maybe like a year and a half ago. I never heard about it again, never explored it. I didn't really know that it was a type of healthcare that you could actually practice. But basically what functional medicine is, functional medicine looks at the root cause of why you have the problem. So you come into the hospital, you come into me and you say, I have a headache. Instead of me saying, let me just throw Tylenol at you, now we're going to explore this headache. Do you have this headache when you first wake up in the morning? Do you have this headache right before a certain time of day? Do you notice these headache symptoms? Do you notice where it is? We're going to get down to the root of why your headache is the way that it is, so that now we can help you explore more holistic ways, I guess you could say, if that deems necessary, for you to actually treat this headache. Because the medication is only a temporary Band-Aid. And that's a big downfall of the conventional medicine, is we're only going to put a Band-Aid on everything. And now that I'm in NP school and I'm becoming a provider, now I'm understanding like there are guidelines, but realistically, medicine actually started as a more holistic approach. But as the turn of the century came, it got deemed as holistic medicine, got deemed as quackery. And so that's when more conventional medicine practices started to come to more of the forefront, because that's when the start of Big Pharma really started to come about. So when we start noticing that our people are getting sicker and sicker, people are relying on more and more medications, well, cha-ching, this is a huge industry for people to make money off of. So everything else that was more holistic now doesn't matter. But Chinese medicine has been around for years. Ayurvedic medicine has been around for years. And a lot of these countries and these other people who practice these things, there's a reason why conventional medicine does not believe that the body can heal itself. That's not what they believe. They feel like you got to heal, that you got to treat that person and give them the cure. So I don't identify as holistic, because I do understand that there are some conventional things that I do need. If you are exhibiting certain signs, I need you to see a certain specialist so that we can rule that out, that there's nothing more harmful going on in your body. But at the same time, there are more holistic practices that we can do that's not necessarily giving you a pill. And so by me kind of filling in that middle ground for people, that's allowing women to understand, like, I have options. I don't have to just go with, well, this is all that we've ever known how to treat things. There are other avenues. For prime example, I started going to acupuncture about 10 months ago to kind of help with my fibroids. My goal was to shrink my fibroids holistically. Okay. My treatment was great. I just wasn't the right candidate for it. So I started going to acupuncture. That completely opened up my world to a different side of medicine that I did not know existed. Mind you, I never had acupuncture. Not a single person in my family had ever gone to acupuncture. ever in life. Growing up, never heard of it before. And now I'm understanding as I'm going through the process, I'm like, oh, wow, acupuncture can do this. Help with fibroids, help with pain, help with stress, help with seizures. Like there are so many things that it can help with. But because it's not the traditional route, a lot of people don't want to explore it. So when it comes to women's health, it's so important to have a provider. And that's really why I went back to school, was because one, I needed people to see someone that looks like them. I needed the Black women to understand that there are providers out there that look like you that can also help you on the conventional side, but understand and help you get to the fact that there are more options available for you. We just have to explore them. Each one of my patients, I'm teaching, they're an individual person. So I'm going to sit down with you. I'm going to take the time to do that. But unfortunately, the way that our healthcare system is ran, providers don't have the time to sit down more than 10 minutes with a patient because they have so many people they need. Because the more people that they see, the more money they're going to make. That's so right. Their livelihood is based on how many patients they see on a daily basis. So I get that. I understand that, but that's not the ministry for me.
I get it. I like that you break it down like that so people can understand the whole perspective of things, not just, not just the conventional medicine, but also the holistic part and the benefits of both. And then with this wellness journey that you're doing and helping other people achieve through your wellness spa, you get to see the different benefits of doing something to treat your body, to help your body heal, to gain the extra energy, whether it's to, regrow hair, whether it's to get vitamin D into your system. Having this option to be able to do this with medicine is very promising for a lot of people because this is something that you're being more prone to do versus not doing anything at all. Knowing that you can get this drip and, I can get, enhance my nutrient levels this way. Those are different avenues that a lot of people do not talk about. I remember during COVID, there was antibodies that was being dispersed, and a lot of people didn't know that there were clinics set up around that people could go to and take antibodies for this and was immune to it for I think it was like a few weeks or whatever afterwards. And it was so many people that was dying and sick, but a lot of people did not know. But that's the flip side of medicine that people don't often talk a lot. But like you said, if it's not generating money, that profit is what the main goal is. But we have to take control of our bodies. We have to take control of our bodies, and we have to research and find people like you. And Dr. Brown is another one I think that's in Texas that's doing things for Black women that are trying to get pregnant and fertility.
Yes, I love Dr. Brown.
Yes, I recently spoke with her. Yes. And so we have to seek out these practitioners and these providers that are out there that's doing this. And that's the purpose of like Martin Girl, is to have those conversations that are not often spoke about, to provide a platform for others, my listeners, and people can listen in and say, hey, it is some help out there. This is a different way and perspective to look at things. So I applaud your work and your efforts that you're doing. Now, also in your spa, do you do like any like esthetician type work, like any skin work, anything to enhance your appearance? I know you mentioned makeup before. Do you do any of that in that spa as well?
So I am no esty. So I do have estheticians that if people want those services, I have estheticians that can come into my spa to treat those services. But I actually just partnered with an esthetician, and I have now created a skin drip. So basically, it can be a drip that is going to help people that have like hyperpigmentation, issues of the skin, to help rehydrate them. So a lot of the products that you're getting, that you're able to use if you go and get a facial, we're now infusing that in an IV drip along with the hydration, which a lot of people's skin issues really stem around dehydration. You're either super dehydrated, the hyperpigmentation, again, it's a vitamin deficiency. And so now we are about to launch the lace skin drips because I've partnered with my good friend Lanice Stoker at Lace by Lanice. And so now we're going to be offering the skin drips to help people with those things. So even though I'm not an esthetician, I'm going to partner with a master esthetician to be able to know. So we've sat down, and she is a product junkie. So when we sat down and we talked about it, and I was like, okay, kind of tell me like what are some of the treatments and what are some of the products you're using in your spa to kind of help with these things when it comes to like chemical peels, when it comes to what you're doing with facials. Let me see how I can create that and put it in a drip. So it took us a minute to kind of like gauge like how much of this is going to be, what products am I going to use, how we're going to come up with it. But we finally came up with the formula. And so we are going to start next month offering those drips at her spa and location. And if you're going in for a facial, you can get your IV hydration at the same time that you're getting your facial.
Right. Amazing. Amazing work.
So
Great teamwork.
we're not to kill it for the skin.
Yes, great efforts in reaching across people, going in that direction and bringing each other up to a certain platform or business wise, to be able to collaborate. I think that that's great. As far as women entrepreneurs, they face a lot of, hardship things all entrepreneurs do, but we just want to concentrate on women, especially minority women.
Absolutely.
And so you face these things in this wellness industry. What advice would you give to someone that's looking to start their own spa or their own wellness business?
So here's my biggest thing when it comes to that. So I focus on nursing is my thing. That's my love. That's my thing. And so I have this conversation with a lot of nurses often because they're like, I want to leave the bedside, but I don't know what I want to do. And so any woman I feel like who is interested in going into entrepreneurship, don't overthink it, just do it. Because at the end of the day, there's one caveat that I say to everybody. But at the end of the day, you control your destiny. So I often say nursing is what kind of helped me get my stepping stone. It's kind of what did the like beginning work for me. But entrepreneurship is what's helping me to build my empire. I can't build my empire as a nurse working at bedside. I cannot. Now, I know some nurses that do amazing. They work 6-7 figures, but guess what? I don't want to work all the overtime. I don't want to have to always be away from my family. I want to have the things I want to have, do the things I want to do with the people I want to do it with. And that is my main goal. And so as an entrepreneur, I'm able to do that. Now, of course, you ain't gonna be able to do that right away. It takes some work to kind of get there. But I'm right now in the process of building my empire. And the biggest thing that I tell women in entrepreneurship or who are interested in going into entrepreneurship, when you're deciding to take on this journey, there's a lot of things that you have to understand about yourself. Your sense of self-awareness has to be at a 10. Because as women, we often overthink a lot of things, and we belong to these like 4 mountains is what I learned in my devotion book. Is there's 4 mountains that we are associated with. We're either trying to please ourselves and identify ourselves in our marriage, identify ourselves among people, identify ourselves and then trying to help other people. And at some point, you have to figure out, well, what is it that you want for yourself? So a big thing that I push to women entrepreneurs and to nurse entrepreneurs is you got to figure out how I can maintain to be balanced in this business. Because a lot of people miss the fact of, as an entrepreneur, like I work a 9-to-5 job. I'm not a 9-to-5, but I work a full-time job. So I equivalent that to a 9-to-5. So you got your 9-to-5, and then I got my 5-to-9. I literally left work at 5:15 today. I came home and I went right to Eudaimonia at 6 o'clock. And I've been going ever since. I ain't even changed my scrubs from work today. Going ever since. So
it's a grind.
I hit burnout last year. At the beginning of last year, I hit burnout. I had no idea that I didn't even know that I was experiencing burnout until somebody brought it to my attention. I work in the ER, so my level of stress that I can take is like higher than a 10, okay? I endure high levels of stress. I did a brain tap on myself. My brain is not wired like everybody else's, so I understand that. So when I was burnt out, I had no idea. But it was during that process, now that I can reflect, it was during that period that I was really developing what is going to help other women to become better entrepreneurs and understanding that you can still be busy, but you can still be balanced. And a lot that I helped my clients understand is in entrepreneurship, there's no such thing as balance. Okay. When you think about a scale, if the scale is balanced, there's no movement. And you always want to grow and you always want to elevate in your brand and in your business. So you're never going to have balance. But how I want you to understand is in business, you can have balance, but your nervous system has to be balanced. And this is where we're going to help you to understand how you can have a balanced nervous system. At the end of the day, something is going to be sacrificed, but it should not be your sleep and it should not be your health.
That's
so
right.
What is it that you're going to do to allow yourself to continue to build this business, build this brand without sacrificing your sleep and your health? So every day you have to make a decision on, what am I going to sacrifice today? That's not those two things. And every day is going to be something else that you're going to have to sacrifice. A lot of times it's your time. A lot of time it's your time when it comes to being out and socializing, frolicking. You got to cut out of that. A lot of times it may be your social media time. You have to understand what it is that you're willing to sacrifice, because it's always going to be a sacrifice. But it cannot be your sleep and your health.
That is so true. That is so true. I spoke recently with Coach Lee, and she was talking about productivity and time management. And she talked about developing a plan for the week that things happen, change happens. So you can't just think it's going to happen, I'm going to do this on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. No, if you get a plan, if you're able to accomplish some of those things that week, that's a win. And you just have to keep going, keep building on that, and set yourself in a schedule so that you're able to stay on task and be devoted to that. And a person that has built up and someone that in the process, it's discipline. You have to be disciplined. You have to have your time management together. You have to be disciplined enough to know how to money. You have to be disciplined enough to know how to invest, into a product, into a person teaching this. You got to spend money in order to make money. People say that, but you got to be careful.
You do, because every coach ain't a coach, and everything they good is ain't go.
It's not. Having that discipline, and I also would throw in that the discernment, you know what I'm saying, to know if this is good for you, if this is a good fit or match for me. And just like your connections that you're making with your spa, these are good matches that you feel good about, and you're both benefiting for that. How do you see the future of wellness and spa services evolving, in relation to trends like technology integration and personal health solutions for women?
So this is a $1 trillion industry. Okay, they can say it's $1 billion. It's a $1 trillion industry, and it depends on. Well, let me say this: if the beings that be that make the decisions, if they did not think that this was an industry that had great potential, they wouldn't try to limit so many things in the industry. So the potential that I see for the industry is numerous. Okay, it's a lot of potential here. There are a lot of ways that this is my thought process. Okay, the person that sits in office right now, there are a lot of things and a lot of changes that he's making that are not going to benefit the average American person. We live in a country that people are the sickest that they have ever been. They are the fattest they have ever been. And our foods are the worst they have ever been. And so it is up to us to make the decision that I want to be here and I want to live. Now, where the trends are going, it is 100% in a wellness, the technology that is coming out, the biohacking, the biotech, the advanced technology that's happening in the health and wellness industry is amazing. The things that we can do now, I had a robotic laparoscopic procedure to remove my fibroids with 3 scars that took 3 hours to remove 22 fibroids that would have never happened 10 to 20 years ago. So the advancement in technology.
You went out. Can you hear me?
I hear you. The advancement and technology that we are having right now is nothing that I have never seen before. But that also means that as individuals, we have to understand that where the world is going, we have to make sure, like you said, that discernment to be able to say, okay, what do I want for myself? Because the wellness industry is growing, and there's a reason why. We are doing things because our society is no longer built for the curative of people and for the well-being of people. So it's going to be up to you to make that decision on how do I want to care for myself? How do I want to heal myself? How do I want to live my life if I want to be here for 20, 30, 40 years down the line?
What would you say? Can you hear me pretty good?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, heard you, and then it kind of like cracked up a little bit. No, but I kind of like heard. Can you hear me? Okay, I can't hear you, but I kind of read your lips on what you were wanting to ask me. So I can kind of, okay, I hear you now. Okay, so I'm going to start with the ones that are inspired or that are aspiring to go into entrepreneurship. You got to find a coach, okay? You got to find a coach, and you got to find a coach that is a match for you. Like you said earlier, every coach ain't going to be great. You do have to understand that you do have to invest in yourself and in your business in order to thrive. But as a person who has wasted a lot of money in business startup, there are so many things that I would change going forward. If I had to start over again, anybody who is aspiring to go into business, make sure that you do your research. And I don't mean just researching where you are currently. People talk about, oh, you just look at your competitors and look at the market around you. I mean research of the industry. Where is this industry going? How much money is it going? But even far beyond that, what are people spending their money on in your industry? Because that's going to let you know the volatility of that industry to kind of know where you can and where you should invest, and maybe not so much in this area. There are a lot of ways. When I first started my business, I started with just IV hydration alone. But I knew IV hydration was not going to sustain my business. But I also did not do enough research to see where the industry trends were going to know what things I needed to invest in the beginning to kind of follow the trends in my market. So don't just look at what's around you. Of course, you want to look at the competitors and kind of see like what they're doing, but you also have to understand your market trend. So once you do that research analysis of that and go in depth, and I don't mean just Google, I mean like actual data driven databases that you can actually get data and get metrics. I didn't do that in the beginning. Okay. I didn't. If I knew then what I know now, I'm telling y'all this is what I would do different. And I would get a coach. I've had a lot of coaches, okay? But I did not invest in marketing first in my business. It was the very last thing that I invested in was marketing. I felt like I'm a nurse. People know me. They trust me. We're the most trusted profession. People are just going to flock to me like they do in the ER. And that's not the case. You have to bring your ideal client into your business. They're not frolicking in there. Okay. And so I did not put enough thought behind marketing. My marketing coach was the last person that I hired. I did a content coach. I had a lab coach. I had an IV coach. Marketing was the very last thing. It should have been number one. Because once you understand branding and marketing, those are two totally different things. You don't need the business cards and the website. That's branding stuff. That's not how you're going to market to actually bring clients into your door. So I would have spent more money on that. So understanding if you're aspiring to get into entrepreneurship, you are not going to know everything that you need to know, but you need to be connected to somebody who is not only going to give you great information that you can utilize and that you can find a return on investment, but also you have to understand you have to connect with the people that are in the spaces that you're wanting to grow into. The biggest thing that changed for my business is community. Community was a huge change that really set the precedence for my business. And had I not been connected to a community, my business probably would have crumbled when adversity set in, because there's been a lot of adversity in my business. My business probably would have crumbled. But if it wasn't for the amazing women that are in my community that keep me going on a daily basis, that keep cheering me on, that show up for me, that push me on the days that I want to give up, entrepreneurship is not easy. It is a very lonely road if you allow it to be. You're going to doubt yourself every time it turns around. And there are so many things that you don't know. I don't have a business background. So that was a huge struggle for me because I'm like, I don't know business. So how am I supposed to learn and grow a business when I have no knowledge in the business? But that's where it comes with getting that coach to be able to, and you have to always have the discernment, the will, but you always got to be curious. And this is one thing that when I read in my devotional last week, it was just like, allow me to release the fear, but allow me to be able to be masterful and allow me to continue to be curious. Because if I have that ability to be curious, I can master the things. Right. It's just going to take some time. So if entrepreneurship is what you're wanting to go into, you just got to do it, but you got to make sure you're connected. Now, if you're a person that's already in business, my biggest thing I have to say is you have to find you a community of people. That is the only way that you're going to. Entrepreneurship is super lonely. There are so many people that give up, but what I realize is people give up when they're almost at that breakthrough or when the challenge sets in. So if there is no challenge or if there is no breakthrough on the horizon, then maybe this is not for you. And if you are a person that's going to always give up every time adversity set up, and entrepreneurship is not for you. But you have to understand, if you really have the desire, I have been in business, This will be year number 4. When I tell you I have lost partners in my business, I have lost friends in my business, I have had to restructure my business. But the biggest thing that I tell people all the time, it is okay to take a pause. But that pause does not mean that you quit. So take a pause, whether that means for a couple months, whether that now longer than 90 days, okay? Just pause for 90 days. Anything longer than that is too long. But it is okay to pause and restructure some things so that you can get clear on what that is that you're wanting to do. The industry and wherever your prospective industry is always going to be evolving, and you always need to make sure that you're keeping up with what's going on in your industry. But don't feel like everything that glitters gold is for you, because it's not. I am very true to myself. I know the lane that Janisha wants to be in, and I have not diverted from that path. Now, I may have gone around the mulberry bush a few times and have taken some scenic routes, but I have not diverted from the path. My path has now my horizons have just been broadened because I have more knowledge now. So everyone says, oh, do you do aesthetics in your business? I have no desire. I've never had a desire to do aesthetics. That's not my lane. I understand my mission is disease prevention and health promotion. It may take me a little bit longer to get to my end result, but guess what? That's okay. I'm still going to get there, but I am true to myself and I show up as my authentic self each and every time. When I first started this business, I felt like I had to speak a certain way. I felt like I didn't eloquently say things the way that you're supposed to. I felt like I was a nurse, so I had to show up as this person. And it was so hard that I always identified as something else, and it was never Janisha. And the one thing I will say is you have to be authentic and true to who you are. Because at the end of the day, when you want to give up and you want to quit, if you are always putting on this persona, it's going to be so easy to let that persona just go by the wayside, and you, who you are, would never be authenticated in that industry. So what my clients and what people who meet me, they are always going to tell you the same thing. Janisha is who she is, and you're going to get what you get. I'm a straight shooter. I am not beating around no bush with you. You're going to get how you get. Now, it'll be out of love, but I had to learn that. Because imposter syndrome sets in, fear is going to set in. There are so many things that are going to exhibit themselves. There's always going to be the devil trying to make some work happen. But if you are authentic to yourself, you find a community, and you do what you know that is your passion and your purpose here on this earth,
it's gonna work.
It's
gonna work. That dedication, that being authentic, that devotion and commitment to what your plan is and having the action plan and carrying it out is what will help you sustain. I thank you so much, Janisha, for coming on tonight, even though we had so many technical difficulties. I thank you so much. Yes,
okay.
it's
The
in
message
there.
is
It's in there. And I thank you so much for your time. I thank you so much for your commitment to the work that you're doing. You are seen. Thank you for sharing your insight with my listeners on today. Is there anything that you want to invite them to? You might have something that's coming up or anything that's going on that you're going to be speaking at, or anything like that?
Absolutely. So if you would like to connect with me, you can find me on all social platforms, Eudaimonia Wellness and Beauty. And so I am actually about to kick kick off my 2-day workshop for nurse entrepreneurship, for nurse who are wanting to get into entrepreneurship. So I'm actually going to be having an informational session coming up on the 25th at 7 o'clock. If you go to my page, you'll find the link for you to be able to sign up. But basically, it's going to give you an informational nurses on a day-to-day basis. And they hate bedside. They want to do something else, but they have no idea what it is that they can do. People see my business, they think that they're like, oh my God, you're doing all the things. And so I want to create a space for people and for nurses to understand that there is a different avenue and there are other things that you can do. You just have to be willing to kind of expand your horizon and turn that nurse brain off. So I am going to be having an informational session. It is free for you to come out, kind of learn about what options you have, what it means for you to actually leave the bedside, what is the plan. And then we're going to be having a 2-day workshop in a couple of months so that we can actually sit down and help you go from like concept to creation. And when it comes to you to starting your business, there are a lot of coaches out there that help you with business, and they always talk about all the things. Oh, you got business funding, you have all that. That's a part of it. That is absolutely in there. But nobody sits down with you and tells you, okay, this is what the branding and this is what the marketing is. All right, these are the banks you should get set up with. This is how you properly structure your LLC. Like the basics of the basic that we often overlook as entrepreneurs because we didn't done that so many years ago. But the way in my process and my framework that I use to help different businesses to get their business off the ground, I want more nurses to be entrepreneurs. I one day want to teach nursing entrepreneurship, maybe at a collegiate level, because I just feel like it needs to be a conversation and teachings that we share with people. Everything is not about making these companies rich. I tell people all the time, if you can work 12-hour shifts 3 to 4 days a week and make this hospital money, there's no reason why you can't even devote a little bit of time for yourself to build your own empire. Because at the end of the day, that bedside shift has been my business blueprint, because I see how these multi-million-dollar companies run their business. I'm taking a piece of that and I'm putting it in my golden.
And we all should look at ways that we can utilize our talents and our gifts. That's something I'm very, very strict, talk about a lot, very, very strict about, and helping people understand that you have a purpose. Define it and walk in it and do it. And it is something that you're supposed to be doing. You're not just there by happenstance. It's something you're supposed to gather from there. And always use your education, your talent, your gifts to do something else outside of just a one-track mission. There's several other ways, several other facets that you can go and do out here to help your people. Get the education, bring it back, take the talents, bring it back, and tell people about your journey so it can encourage someone else. Again, thank you so much, Janisha, for joining me tonight. As always,
thank you so much for having
Martin
me.
Girl gang, just please tell a friend to tune in to Conversations with the Martin Girl. Check out my girl Janisha on all social sites. And we will be talking again and chatting it up again soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you to all the listeners out there. I ask you to please go to my YouTube page and like and subscribe to Conversations with the Martin Girl. Also, take the time to follow me on my social handles. Instagram is Martin Girl Movement. Facebook, same Martin Girl Movement. Thank you.